Good morning, everyone. For those of you on the recording, I'm Andy Hayes, founder and creator of Plum Deluxe. I'm going to talk today about tea and mindfulness. And so I have 5 things that you can add into your tea rituals to be more mindful. So just a little something for those of us who are here live, a little Sunday morning um, calm. And then if you're joining us on the recording, also just to take a minute. So I would like, before we start, for everyone to just take a deep breath and just take a second, just to be here in this Zoom. You need to mute phones. I'm actually going to turn my phone down so it doesn't bother us. Close the door, or just whatever you need so you can focus with us just for a few minutes. And I said before the recording, if you just joined us, it's not going to be a whole hour session. It's only going to be about 15 minutes. It's not going to be too long. So just take a second. Let's just be in this session. Okay, so I want to talk you through practicing mindfulness when you're having your tea. And the interesting thing about tea is that you have to make it. It doesn't make itself. Yes, you can buy some tea in a grocery store that is already made, but we're assuming in this case you're boiling the water and steeping the leaves, etc. And so the first thing I want you to do is, when you're deciding what tea that you want to drink, that you really take a second and think about it. Look at the tea. This is like the start of your tea ritual. And even if you know right away what tea you want to have, it's nice to just take a second and really look at it. I mean, you can even practice this as well when you're eating your food or your breakfast. When you get something really special, one of your favorites, take a second and look at it. Look at what you're about to consume. That's one thing I love about tea, and one thing that's we take a lot of pride with is with the Plum Deluxe teas is they're very beautiful to look at. There's colors, there's textures, there are blends, so there's different things going on. So take a second and look at what you're about to enjoy. There's just something about that. Maybe even as well the packaging of the product. What's the messaging? What are the colors? Just take a second and look. And you can even do this even if you're just in the few minutes you're waiting for your water to boil. So you have the time. So you have a second to look. So take a second. And then the other thing I want you to do while this, getting this water ready, is smell the aromas. So we taste things with our eyes for one, but then also aroma, the smell. And I want you, when you're having your tea, to smell it before you prepare it. And I say that because some teas actually smell differently before and after. A great example is a green tea. You're going to smell a lot of that grassiness and earthiness beforehand, and then it's really going to open up when it's been steeped, and you're going to get any other notes that have been added to it, jasmine, lemongrass, etc. So, and I want you to think about, just at this point, and what does this smell remind you of? Does it remind you of anything? Particularly happy things, hopefully. So that's step one, is we're getting the water ready, and we're looking at the tea, the texture, the dynamics. Like, tea is very dynamic. It's not just like a brick. It's not just all one thing. So kind of looking at the dynamics. And then once you have your water ready, you're gonna get the tea in the infuser, get the water in there, and now you again have a few minutes. And what I notice with people is this is a great time to catch up on social media. This is what people really like to do now. And there's a popular term coined in 2020 called doom scrolling. And I don't think this is the best time for that. Not to say that social media doesn't have its perks, but um, maybe for the 3 minutes that you're waiting for the water to steep, you could try doing something more mindful. And I have some suggestions for that. It's just it's a nice little container of time, and I think you deserve that little piece of time. And so, as I'm telling you some of my ideas for how you could use that, I want you to think about it, because what you're going to need to do if you want to try some of these things is prepare them in advance. Because what happens is if the tea is ready and steeping and your phone is right there, you're going to go to this guy and not try something else. So you'll have to kind of do some preparation, especially if you don't have good willpower. um, so here are some things that you could try in those 3 minutes. One is just to breathe. You know, it is interesting that most of us have very shallow breathing, even though like it's required for us to exist as beings. But if you actually just took a minute and actually breathe really deeply, it's quite refreshing, and you'll notice that, especially when all of us have been through so many crazy things this year. The air is all up here, in like your neck and your top of your chest, and it kind of needs to be down a little further. So you could just do a little breathing. But if you're feeling a little fidgety, or that's just too woo-woo, I want to say, I actually really like to encourage people to doodle or draw or color. We have actually a coloring book now, but not hawking our products in this session specifically. But you could just have a notepad and you could just doodle, 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 doodle. What I like about doodling, and there's some great scientific studies to prove this, is it just gets stuff out of your head. Kind of unwinds things a little bit. So I love a good doodle. You could also have a notebook and journal. There's a famous thing called Morning Pages in a book called The Artist's Way, and she recommends just writing everything that comes across your mind, just literally just writing it down, writing it down, writing it down, writing it down. She recommends doing it for a long period of time, even more than I think I have the stomach for. But you could just try it for 3 minutes. I mean, even if you didn't like it, 3 minutes, right? That's not very long. You could do anything for 3 minutes. You could even like try to do pull-ups or something for 3 minutes. You could do it. You could also create some prompts for yourself to try. I have a great one for you today to try if you want. So just at the top of the piece of paper, write things I love. And that's it. So for 3 minutes, write down things that you love. It could be, Earl Grey. It could be chocolate chip cookie dough that's edible out of a jar. Who doesn't love that? You could love the color of the leaves, in your yard right now. You could love that it's sunny today. You could love yourself. You could love your partner. So there's all sorts of things that you could say that you love. That's a good one. And that's also when you can change throughout the year. You could say, what things I love about autumn, or things I love about the holidays, or things I enjoy about the winter. You can even try that, using that with pairing it with maybe if you're going through something difficult, like a kind of an easier example to get your head around. But what I mean by that is, let's say you have a snow day and you're stuck at home, you have kids at home, and everyone's stuck at home. Things I love about being at home. Try to put, try to get the story turned around to something more positive. So that water is now ready, and you've spent that time doing something really lovely. Who can? I have not found anyone who seems less happy or less joyful or less calm after they have spent a few minutes doodling. The only exception is you feel like you wasted your time. It's only 3 minutes, and if you feel better, then it's not a waste of time. Because if you go around all the time not feeling great, Why are you down here and on this planet? That's not a good use of your time. So you deserve a few minutes to feel good. Okay, so your tea's ready. You're taking the steeper or the bag out of the water, kind of getting everything situated. And you have a second to let the tea cool. And here's what happens usually in this step is the tea's too hot, so you can't drink it. So you're going to go put the laundry away. And next thing you know, it's 40 minutes later and your tea is cooled. I know that's happened to someone on the call. I know it's happened to me. So I really encourage you in this little few extra moments where the tea is not ready to drink to continue some of the things that you liked before. It's still, yes, you can doom scroll now on social media if you want, but wouldn't it be just so lovely to have a few more minutes to finish the activity you were doing before? Maybe you had a few more journaling thoughts you wanted to get out. Maybe you're trying to finish a whole coloring page and you got a few more squares to go. Maybe you have a craft project that has been calling your name and you were working on that and you want to finish it. So don't wander off, give the tea some respect too, and just give it a second before it's ready to enjoy and be with it. All right, so then now we're ready to actually drink the tea. I feel like a lot of tea and mindfulness talks go way into this, and I'm not going to go too far into it. I think the most important part is getting you set up and ready to go. But I do want to mention how, and this applies to anytime you consume something, food or drinking, but again, take a look at the tea. What color is it? What color did it steep? When we're doing recipes, I always make the tea in white vessels because I want to see what it looks like. So you might try that, doing white cups. But what is the color? What did it steep up? And thinking back about that dynamic, colorful interaction that was the tea before you started, what is it now? How did it transform? What is that? What are your thoughts when you're kind of looking at that? And then as you're ready to drink it, the smell, the aroma. So much of the taste you get in tea is the aroma. And so I love just thinking about that. And one thing you can do is when you smell the tea, close your eyes so you can't see, and smell, and just see if that reminds you of anything. Maybe if it's a floral note, it makes you think of gardens that you've been to before, or something, recipe that your mom made that you really enjoy. Aromas have a real interesting quality to them that they can attach to memories that are way deep, and so it's really interesting how they can kind of pull things up to the surface. So something to really focus on is the smell. And when you're smelling, it's a great way to focus on it by closing your eyes, because your eyes have a lot of sensory input and they want to drive. They want to tell you what things taste like and smell like, because you see something and you think, well, if it looks like that, it should smell like that. So if you close your eyes, that will help you to be a little more mindful of what you're actually smelling. And then first sip of tea. We all know this feeling of when you first drink that hot beverage and it's just so comforting, just so soothing. And so I really want you to remind you to be present with that and just be thinking about, how does that make you feel? How does that feel? What does that mean when you say, that's just so comforting, it feels so good? What does it really mean? Where do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it kind of in your stomach? Does it make your heart feel good? Does it just kind of warm up your hands and feet, your appendages? Like, does it make you feel warmer? Like, what does it mean? How does it feel? Where do you feel it? And if you have your little notepad, your little journal handy still, this is a great thing. Be writing down. We have these little notebooks with tea tasting notes for tea journals, and we have a little kind of area for making notes. And this is something you can put in the notes. You don't have to put in your tasting notes that it has floral notes and remind you of coffee. You don't have to do that. You can write it in the notes how it made you feel. Made me feel happy. Made me feel calm. Made me forget about some of my challenges for a minute. Made me feel like I could get back up and really tackle something that I've been trying to work on and struggling. So how does it make you feel? And if you write those down, that's definitely uh, what you should be thinking about when what teas you want to have next time, right? Like, I'm really struggling today. I need something that's going to help me get back up there. So what tea is that going to be? But I don't want you to feel pressured with all that. There's a lot of different senses, and some of those things might not ring true for you. So if it doesn't, the aroma is not really doing much for you, or it just looks like tea, that's okay. All I'm asking for you is to pay attention and look, just investigate. The investigation is enough. All right, so the last, and this is my 5 of 5 here. We've got the tea ready to go. Tea's ready. We've kind of given it an initial investigation, and now we have our tea. So you probably have things to get to, but I would love for you to spend with the tea a few more minutes with pairing it with something lovely. We've talked about the coloring or the crafting. Reading is always a great thing to do with tea, in my opinion. But I also really like conversations with tea. So in the era that we're in right now, scheduling a Zoom call with someone that you love to talk to and having tea, it's just such a lovely compliment. And if you think about how nice compliments are in other parts of your life, like who doesn't like their favorite sauce with their French fries? Like if you love French fries, and if you love French fries with ketchup, then that's just it's why have them together. It's the same kind of concept. If you love catching up with friends and you love doing that with a cup of tea, why don't you always make that part of your ritual and a habit? Because if you're making it a habit to do these things often, then it will be easier for you to incorporate them on top of your other obligations, on top of everything else that you have going on, all the other things you're worrying about, all the other things that are happening in the world that you're trying to keep up on and trying to decide how to spend your time, because there's only so much time to go around. But I really encourage you to try to make time for those things that really help you feel good and are enjoyable, because you deserve them. That's part of life, is enjoying things. It doesn't always have to be difficult. So that's the 5 for today for tea and mindfulness. I'm going to go through them again briefly, just in case we had folks join who didn't catch all of them, or if you were taking notes and are listening mindfully and missed something. So first of all, we were being very mindful about choosing the tea and actually looking at the tea and its colors and the dynamism of the tea itself and the ingredients and the packaging. What does it smell like and look like before we prepare it? And then we're getting our water ready, and we're pairing that little pocket of time with something enjoyable. We're trying not to be on social media scrolling. We're journaling. We're breathing. We're just taking a second. And it's okay to do nothing as well. I didn't say that specifically, but if you want to just stare out the window and relax for a second while the water boils, totally okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's great. And then we're getting the water into the tea and it's steeping. And so again, we're thinking about spending our time with things that are nourishing us. And even if it's just breathing, closing your eyes for a few minutes, that's nourishing, and you deserve that. And then tea is ready. We're looking at the tea. What color is it? What is the smell? Closing your eyes and smelling. What does the smell remind you of? Has the aroma changed from when it was not brewed to brewed? And then we're really thinking about, as we enjoy our tea, what are the things that we love enjoying it with? Now, of course, sometimes you need to take your tea and go back to your desk and get to work or take care of other things. But sometimes you need to make sure that you take time for yourself and you're slowing down for a second, appreciating the tea, maybe calling a friend, reading a few pages in a book, writing some things down, or again, nothing. Looking out the window, looking at the colors, looking at some squirrels running around in your backyard. That's okay too. What would feel nourishing? What would make you feel better? And I know sometimes there's a struggle because we just think, I don't have time for this. I have other things to do. But I encourage you to really try and experiment because you might find that by taking a minute and going inward and calm, that you have more energy to get other things done. You end up being more efficient in the whole day than if you hadn't stopped and taken a break. Life is short and moments are fleeting. So please, I encourage you to take a moment and enjoy those little spare pockets of time that happen during your tea prep and enjoyment.